All right, good evening, everybody. It is February 10th. It is a Friday, 2020. Made it to the weekend. Hopefully, everybody had a fantastic week, very successful week in whatever endeavors. Take a break, take a load off. A lot of action in the market. A big news day, too, as well. A lot of news coming out of Russia. I have this CNN article pulled up right now on CNN Business. Cut output by 5% as sanctions bite. And if you notice today, some of the action in the market, if we look at some of the commodities, if you type in ticker symbol CL, which is the ticker symbol for the light crude oil futures, caught a pretty big bid. Crude oil was up about 2% today, right about 2.5%. Just a hair under $80. So price action is once again trading above that 50-day moving average on crude. Prices closed at $79.72. Equity markets were mixed. The S&P 500 and the Dow Jones Industrial Average all finished in the green. We could pretty much call it flat, no material price gains there. The market was very volatile today. Markets were up, markets were in the red. And the NASDAQ composite, which is the very tech-heavy index, the red. One of the things I wanted to bring, now if you think back, over the last couple weeks, one of the things we were talking about on the stream is that we think, many of us, and we were sort of talking about this together, energy trade may be a little bit extended here, maybe getting a little bit long in the tooth. I think with a lot of the Russian news coming out, it seems like the war is escalating. Take a look at some of the individual names in the oil and gas and energy sector today performing really well. Look at ExxonMobil, ticker symbol XOM, hitting an all-time brand new record high and a new 52-week high today, trading up about 5 points or 4.5%. That's pretty substantial gains. If you look at the XLE, which is the Spider Select Energy ETF, we are about 2 points away from a brand new all-time record high. Price action 50 and 200-week moving averages, or 200. The XLE was up about 4% as well. We have some on in the president's office. President Joe Biden has authorized the United States military to shoot down what appears to be some sort of maybe another balloon. So we'll talk about that tonight as well. But for now, tonight we're going to be walking downtown. We are not going to be venturing around Midtown tonight. We're going to be going downtown, taking a look at this beautiful Friday night. So without further ado, Razzle Dazzle 786, always good to see you. Austin City Limits, British Gray, Richard Scott, Carol Reevy, Susan Wolin, Josephine S., Richard Vogel, the ABX Girl. 45 is here, Pot of Gold, Hawaii. Good to see you, Hawaii. Good to see everybody. I see John, Richard Vogel. Trust you well. Let me go ahead and try to get my, what's it called here? The microphone all untangled. Somebody says the audio is cutting out. I think that's because this WeWork doesn't have too good of internet, so we'll head downstairs, and I'll see you guys down there. We are working out of 135 Madison Avenue today, which is one of my favorite WeWork offices in the city. Yesterday, and pretty much all this week, we were actually working out of the one on Billionaires Row, 57th Street. As you guys know, I am a big fan of WeWork. I think they have pretty nice offices. Guys downstairs. Hey, have a good one, man. Take it easy. Now, I think it's supposed to be pretty windy out tonight. But here we are, everybody, on the corner of East 31st Street and Madison Avenue. Tonight, we're actually going to be headed downtown. I think we're going to take a walk down to Greenwich Village, see what's going on with the nightlife over there. Glass of Beer 12 is here. This is coming from Thailand. Have a good walk. Good to see everybody from Thailand. I see my friend Colleen here. Dan Zhang says, Tom, is your microphone not plugged in fully? The audio is really off. Let me see. What about now? Let me know what you guys think of the audio connection now. You know, we're also testing out well, I shouldn't say the new streaming software. I should say the old one that kind of conked out before what's it called? Remember we were using Prism Live before the holidays, and then we sort of had to take a hiatus from Prism during the Christmas, Hanukkah, and even the New Year's holiday. Dan Zhang says, yeah, it's better now. Maybe it was the internet. You know, I think it may have been the internet, Dan, because for some reason, every time I work out of the Madison Avenue location, the internet speeds are really poor. I don't know why. I think I only get, I want to say like 15 up. No, I think 50 up and then 15 down, which is not good. Lou T. Williams, what's up? Good to see you. RJ from Colorado, welcome. Austin City Limits. Yeah, so Austin says it's nice we're on Prism now. So we'll see how long it holds up. I mean, we've been streaming for about 10 minutes. Usually the chat cuts out around 12 minutes. So we'll see. Look, I don't know. We just got to try it out. I had a couple of my buddies who also stream around different cities and such say that it was supposedly fixed. All I did is I did an update. So I uninstalled the application, re-downloaded it, as well as updated my phone to the latest version of iOS. So we'll see if it works. We'll see. Mimi says, weird, Madison Ave would be a place you would think the internet would be great. You know what I think it is? I think it's the building that we're in. You know, a lot of these buildings on Madison Avenue are the very original buildings here in New York with very, very thick walls. And some of the newer WeWorks with the glass buildings, internet tends to work a little bit better there. I don't know. We'll see. My friend War Walker is here. Says TGIF, what's up? Always a pleasure to see you, War Walker. Tom Brady says, great picture, high definition. You know, it's going to be interesting to see the difference between the streams on Prism and the streams on OBS Streamlabs. We'll see. I'll have to go back and check it out maybe at the end of the night. But Tom Barry, good to see you. Terry, hope everybody's doing well. You know, I think I want to start off by saying, did anybody see the news today that the U.S. military, again, now we don't know what it was, right? I was reading some articles, both Wall Street Journal had a little bit of a publication out, as well as CNN. And so we shot something down off the coast of Alaska that was in U.S. airspace. Now, I don't know what it was. All they say it was some sort of an unidentified object. We don't know if it was another spy balloon or whatnot. But it just seems really almost concerning now that I don't want to jump to conclusions and say it's China again. I don't know. But I'm a little bit concerned, and usually I don't really get concerned about I don't know, like foreign affairs things, but it just seems like someone's really pressing their luck to be flying things into U.S. airspace. But, you know, I think we're acting accordingly, right? So hopefully, as the night goes on, we'll get some more data out from there. I don't know, what do you guys think? Hey, Sabrina Fair is here. What's up? Good to see you. Yeah, Mimi's is so weird. It really is. Cena NSN is here. Welcome, DM. Good to see you, as always. Julie M says, it seems very fishy. Like a stunt to get attention away from the balloon. I really don't know. It's been wild. Ren 1018 says, Tom, these markets feel a bit like March of 2008. Yeah, well, I mean, markets were very mixed today. But here was my main concern. And I think before I even talk about my main concern, you guys already know what I'm going to say because we briefly covered it yesterday. But everybody has to be keeping their eyes peeled on that 10-year U.S. Treasury yield. And the bond market really, really took a beating today in a big way. And, oftentimes we'll talk about how the junk tends to move first. Some of the time, not all the time. But if you look at ticker symbol JNK, which is the Bloomberg High Yield Bond ETF, so it tracks junk bonds, that was selling off all week. And just the last 2 days, we started to have a big sell-off in the sovereign debt market, and that 10-year U.S. Treasury yield now is 3.7%, back above the 50-day moving average. So I really wouldn't be surprised, everybody, if we have the 10-year U.S. Treasury yield maybe by the end of the month back above 4%. Now, here's why I'm a little bit concerned about that, because not only as it relates to U.S. equities, but this is probably going to have some real severe implications on the housing market as well. As we know, that 30-year fixed rate mortgage is really very closely tied and correlated to the 10-year U.S. Treasury yield. So, we've had about 3 or 4 months now where this 10-year yield has been coming down quite substantially, and that has been really followed by a pretty strong rally here in both the U.S. equity markets and some emerging markets as well that we've been talking about, such as Mexico. But, it seems like yields are on a one-way higher. I don't know, what do you guys think? Do you guys think that we're going to see a 10-year U.S. Treasury yield this month plus 4%? Or do we think this is going to roll back over? I don't know. I see Gary Carpenter's here. What's up? Hey, John Sorley. What's up, John? TC says, hope it doesn't go back to the 2007 days. Yeah, we'll have to see. Now, I think there's going to need to be some sort of existential, an event to really prick the balloon, so to speak. During the 2008 financial crisis, that balloon prick was all of these collateralized debt obligations, as well as it was fueled by tons and tons of people speculating in the real estate market. And when they were acquiring these properties, they were acquiring them with ARMs, or adjustable rate mortgages. Hey, Vinny Castellano, what's up? Says, good evening, Tom. What's up? The LT Prods is possibly greater than 4% this month. Austin City Limits is, Tom, the 10 and the 2-year inversion is the most ever. Yeah, it's if you look at the yield curve, right? The yield curve is very inverted. So to Austin City Limits' point, you're right. Man, it's getting really windy tonight. I got to zip up my jacket. But you're right, and that's definitely cause for concern. Destructionist says, hello everybody. I'm watching in the background as I have been super busy the last couple days. But wanted to pop on and say hello. Destructionist, thank you so much for joining. I appreciate it. I see our good pals from Korea are here. Welcome. Now, we're testing out a new microphone tonight, so let me know if you guys could hear any wind noise in the background. I see Amar says, good evening, Tom and team. USA pricked the China spy balloon this week. Yeah, we did, and I think we popped another one maybe today. There was some news coming out that we downed something off the coast of Alaska. And there was also reports, speaking of Hawaii, I think we have Hawaii in the chat tonight. There were reports of some lasers being shined down off the coast of Hawaii too. A ton of crazy stuff happening. Steph UH says no wind noise so far. That's really good because I'm getting hammered with the wind right now, destroyed. So this microphone is pretty good. Pretty good. So I think we got to get something out of the way first, team. And there was a really good article in CNN Business today. And this may be the reason why crude oil caught a really nice bid today. I think if you look at ticker symbol CL, which is the crude oil futures contract, we're almost back at $80 a barrel. and that has really been giving a boost to the energy sector. Look at some of the individual names in the oil and gas sector, specifically ExxonMobil, ticker symbol XOM. It hit a new all-time record high today. I think the stock was up 4%. And XLE, which is the energy ETF, and I think about 20% of the whole weighting of the ETF is in ExxonMobil and Chevron. About 50% of the ETF, if you throw in Chevron in there, it's about 2 points away from an all-time record high. So I don't know, maybe the escalation of this conflict in Ukraine could be putting a floor under energy prices, because today, big news out of Russia. Russia is going to be cutting oil production by 5%. I guess this is Vladimir Putin's way at retaliation, so we'll see. I don't know, what do you guys think? You think we're going to go back to $90 crude oil? Or do you think this is merely a bear market rally? Check out the Empire State Building from here. Looks really, really nice tonight. Looks like Gotham City tonight as well. Ron is here, says, hey Tom and everybody, welcome to the weekend. Good to see you, Ron. John Abraham is here. Appreciate it. Angel says, Chevron had a good day today. Indeed they did. UniJ22 says, greetings Tom and chat. Good to see you, UniJ22. Richard Vogel says, I think $90 a barrel is a safe bet. Julia M says, NIM long XLA. Very nice. Now, as you guys know, I've actually been, my bias has been that this energy trade is getting a little bit long in the tooth. That has been my bias. You know, we have a lot of differing opinions in the chat, and I think that's good to sort of have that conversation about it. But I think it's very possible that this prolonged conflict in Ukraine could put a pretty decent bid under energy prices. Now, here's my main concern, and I think this poses the biggest risk to U.S. equities. So assuming we do, okay, let's just assume we do have a prolonged bid in the crude oil market, in the oil and gas market. Crude oil, let's say it goes to 90, 95 again. Right now, I think the futures contract today closed at 79.76. So pretty much at $80. Now, that's a big problem as it relates to the upcoming CPI report and CPI reports in the future. Because even though the Federal Reserve, Fed Chairman Jerome Powell, they really put more weighting on core CPI. So core CPI excludes volatile food and energy costs, right? But that's still a big issue. If we have gas prices going back to like $4 at the pump again, I think the Federal Reserve is going to be forced to get even more aggressive with raising rates. And that is not good for the U.S. equity market, and that certainly isn't good for the housing market. I think as of recording this video today, the average 30-year fixed rate mortgage is 6.5%. Now, next week, I think that's going to go up. I think that number is going to go up because today we had a really big sell-off in the debt market. Yields went up across the yield curve. The 10-year U.S. Treasury yield currently right now is about 7.3%. I mean, 3.7%, excuse me. Thank God it's not at 7.3%. Edward Adams says, hey Tom, it'll be interesting since the main world governments are moving towards electric vehicles the middle of the next decade. Dennis says, hey Tom, how have you been lately? I've been really good. Thank you for asking. How have you been? Thank you for joining us tonight on Walks on Wall Street. Taxi Cab says, hey Tom, Manchester United is up for sale. Bidders are to submit a paragraph long offer. Wow, I didn't know that. I think Manchester United is also a publicly traded company too. I forget the ticker symbol though. All right, team, we are now on the corner of 5th Avenue and East 23rd Street. You have Italy over here, which is a fantastic grocery store / restaurant that is right across the street from Madison Square Park, where you have the original Shake Shack, or I should say one of the original Shake Shacks in New York City, and a gorgeous view of the Empire State Building. Richard Vogel says a lot of people in my neighborhood are converting to natural gas heating. So I have a natural gas line in my backyard, but my entire house is electric. I got electric stove, everything, which is actually kind of a bummer because, you know, being on Long Island, I'm so used to everything being gas, and I just love cooking with gas a lot better than electric. I don't know, what about you guys? Would you much rather cook with gas or electric? Or do you just not even have a preference and you don't care? Bree Grams, what's up, says, what do you guys think about AMC's new ticket pricing? So Bree, I thought I saw something about that. Maybe you could provide some more clarity to us in the chat, but how are they doing that? It's based upon demand now, right? So based upon how good the movie is doing in theaters, they're going to adjust the ticket prices accordingly that way. Is that correct? Is that sort of how they're doing it? Now, speaking about all those meme stocks, guys, meme stocks have been getting freaking crushed again. And you guys know how I feel about all that stuff. I'm not a big fan of it. All the GameStop and the Bed Bath & Beyond and all the others. I think you should really stay away from those things. Generally, anything without any earnings. I think AMC was down like what, 37% today? Hey, Explorations, the center row seats in the theater cost more. The ABX girl says, Tom, gas stoves help when there is a blackout. You're correct. Gas stoves could definitely save your life. Mimi says, Tom, gas is a lot better. The excuse that it causes asthma is BS. Yeah, I was hearing about that too, Mimi. I think that was a big thing in New York, that in all the new developments now in New York City, I think they want to propose legislation that in all new developments, gas stoves are not allowed. Does anybody know if that's going to go through or not? Hey, Mighty Mole, what's up? Good to see you. John says, I love cooking with gas. You know, yeah, Colleen says the same thing, love cooking with gas. Wow, Western Mass Dave says, Tom, I love my gas stove from the 50s. Well, here's the thing. I would say the vast majority, and that was a gorgeous view of the Empire State Building, by the way. We're right outside of the Flatiron Building, East 22nd Street. We're going to head downtown tonight. And here's something interesting. If you go to pretty much any really good restaurant in the city, they all cook with gas, right? So, in my view, I give it 2 thumbs up. Love is Kind says electric for apartments and adjoined homes, otherwise gas. 45 says completely phasing out gas is not realistic. That would put a strain on the power grid. 100%, 100,000%. I agree with your take on that. NNB 045. And it's kind of unfortunate, and I think we may have talked about this before, and a lot of you guys made some really good points actually. I'll quickly show you guys this building. I love the old style architecture on this building as well as the fire escapes. Looks really, really beautiful. Now, I think our government, right, and a lot of politicians, you know, they say these really hyperbolic, bombastic, ridiculous statements about energy, and they sort of know that taking a really, really aggressive stance on something is more persuasive, right? So if anybody is, you know, familiar with sales or persuasion, you know, you tend to attract like a mob, right? If you're really cut and dry on a subject and you really make like a hyperbolic statement or a bombastic statement about something. And it's really unfortunate because, I mean, I think we could all agree here that, you know, we want a greener future, we want cleaner air quality, we want to move to renewables, but I think we need to be honest with ourselves and say, it's going to take a lot of time, and we first need the infrastructure in place first to be able to store the energy, because the biggest problem right now is solar and wind, and I'm a huge fan of solar and wind energy, but not every day is sunny and not every day is windy. So we need a way to develop batteries that will be able to harness this energy for later use. And Elon Musk says the same thing, right? And the battery technology will get there. I'm very, very confident it will, but it's going to take some time. So just flipping off the light switch automatically and saying we're only going to do renewables, it's just not realistic, guys. Really quick, this is Okta, ticker symbol OKTA. Now, Okta is actually a cybersecurity company, and Okta competes with a company called Ping Identity. It was actually a former publicly traded company, Ping Identity. It was actually based out of Denver, Colorado, but it was now taken private by Orlando Bravo's company. And that is Thoma Bravo, private equity firm Thoma Bravo. And the type of cybersecurity that Okta specializes in is something called IAM cybersecurity. Look at how gorgeous the scaffolding, the fire escapes are on this building right here. This building is absolutely gorgeous. It's on the corner of East 20th Street and Broadway. Architecture is really beautiful. And IAM stands for Identity and Access Management. So you think about, single sign-on, SSO. I think Okta is definitely the leader in that. However, I think if you think about a company like Palo Alto Networks, I think they are, by and large, the pristine leader in cybersecurity because it owns the entire infrastructure, right? A form of zero trust cybersecurity. And those are two examples of stocks that have really been beaten down due to the rising interest rate environment. A lot of these very high beta, high growth, high revenue growers have been really getting a beat down. Wow, B. Smith, thank you so much. We hit 28,000 people. That's wild, guys. Holy crap. Can you guys believe that? That's nuts. We could almost fill up Madison Square Garden. Well, I appreciate everybody being here and joining the live streams and showing up every day. I love talking to you guys, sharing ideas. I think you guys we have an incredible group of smart people here. And I look forward to doing the streams every night. It's awesome. I've met so many good people and I can't even believe there's 28,000 of us now. That's wild. Dr. Scopify says, what do you think of the price of copper rising back up? Well, I think gold and silver also, right? If we could just think about precious metals and commodities in general, I think they all had a good week. What is gold trading at right now? I think gold's at, 18.5? I think we did at one point last month, broke 1900 on gold, but now I think gold has come down some. But here's the thing. I really think that gold and silver, other precious metals and other commodities will really outperform and do good if and only if we have weakness in the US dollar. Now today I think the Dixie was up. I think the Dixie is now at 103? But in general, I think that precious metals and commodities tend to perform a little bit better when we have a weaker dollar. Speaking of, I think the top performing commodity out there is orange juice. I think orange juice futures hit an all-time record high, did they not? Hey Sally, what's up? Thank you so much for being here. Gold is at 1865. What is silver at? 21? I don't know. Gary Carpenter says, what is aluminum at? I'm not too sure. Really, honestly, guys, I'm not really big into precious metals, but the only three that I really focus on is like platinum, palladium, gold, and silver. That's really about it. I don't really track any of the others. Savi says, a very good evening, Tom. What's up? Pot of gold says 22 for silver. Now here's the thing, not to get too much into conspiracy, and it's really not a conspiracy, but the precious metals market is really highly and heavily manipulated, especially the paper. So when I use the term paper, that means like the derivative, right? So if you type in like SLV or something like that, many of the investment banks, and this is all publicly available information, by the way, don't even take my word for it, you could look it up for yourself. JP Morgan, BNP Paribas, I think is a big one, which is a French investment bank, Mizuho. These banks have all paid multi-million-dollar fines for spoofing the metals market, right? And the way that they can manipulate the price of gold and silver is by dumping the paper derivative on the market, suppressing the price. So I don't know. I think that really does have a material impact on price discovery there. You know, so if you guys want to do a little bit more research yourselves on that, just type in JP Morgan Chase or BNP Paribas silver or gold, and quite frequently they have to pay multi-million-dollar fines for spoofing the metals market. But here's the thing: if they can make $100 million, and again, allegedly, they can make $100 billion manipulating the price of gold and silver via the paper derivative, and they have to pay a $25 million fine, well, then that's just the cost of doing business for them, right? I don't know. Oh, guys, I want to show you this. So this is the Union Square Hotel, I think, with a big W on the top. Hey, Western Mass Dave, thank you so much. This is congrats on another milestone. Thank you so much, Dave, for being here. I appreciate it very, very much. Fun Feeds is here. Colleen says, Tom, I enjoy you and everybody's company. I do too. It's fantastic. It's an awesome thing to do after work. Network with all you guys. I see the one and only Brad's Brain here. What's up, Brad? We're headed down to the Village tonight. Jeff Pickles is here. This is good morning, Tom, from Yorkshire, England. Wow. Awesome. Good morning and happy Saturday to you. Thank you for joining us here in New York City. Julius is also a lot of conspiracy theories about the dollar not being the dominant currency in the very near future. Yeah, so a lot of people think that the dollar is going to fall from the world reserve currency. Now, I actually don't buy that, but I could be wrong, right? I could be wrong. And I'll give you my position on it, because we were talking about currencies anyway. I truly believe that the US dollar will always be the world reserve currency. And for one reason and one reason alone. Because the US dollar is backed by the might of the US military, whether we want to say it or not, right? And the United States, the financial system in the United States, pretty much the rest of the world and the developing world really, really depends on the health and the integrity of the United States dollar and the US financial system in and of itself. So I find it extremely hard to believe that the US would ever lose its spot, or the dollar, the petrodollar, would ever lose its spot as the world reserve currency. Now, I could be wrong. I know there's a ton of people in the chat who disagree, and you guys may be right. You pose a lot of good arguments, but I just don't see it. Like, what is the yuan going to be the central world reserve currency? I don't see it. I just don't see it. Okay, so Pot of Gold says US dollar will be tough to fail. Now, it is true that all fiat currencies over time have gone to zero. That's true. That's just a true statement. And the United States dollar, in terms of purchasing power, has already lost about 90% of its purchasing power. So it's good, and that's why it's not really good just to leave your money in a bank account, unless, you know, like we were talking about yesterday. Do you guys remember yesterday we were walking by, what bank was it, guys? Was it First National Bank? I forget. But there's 10-month CDs now that are yielding almost 5%, if you could believe that. So what is that going to be competition for equities? Anyway, I'm sort of going off on a tangent here, but that's why when you make your money, you have to invest your money, right? You got to invest your money in businesses that produce cash flow, that are producing earnings, because over time, the value of the dollar is being eroded and your purchasing power is being inflated away, whether we like it or not. Cristiano is here. What's up? Good to see you, Cristiano. Gail Arnold says hit the like button. Thank you, Gail. John Abraham says, I agree, my savings are in dollars. Laureen says, we see you at WeWork before the shows. Are you investing in the company? Looks like they might be in over their head. No, I don't invest in WeWork. I just work out of there. And the reason why I work out of WeWork is because it's $299. So it's $299, and you have access to any office space, not only in the United States, but the entire world. And I think that in the line of work that I am in, it's very important to be versatile on the go. So I don't really see a need for me to sign a big lease to only stay at one particular office location. For me personally, I think it's a little bit better for me to have access to multiple office locations where I could work out of. I am constantly between New York City and Miami. So just signing a pretty big lease and spending a lot of money, it doesn't really make sense for me, at least now. But no, I don't invest in the company. And I never would, honestly. TC, what up? Says, Tom, can you use the address as your business address for WeWork? Yes. There is an additional cost for that. So if you want to receive mail or something like that, you can receive mail. But I think it's an extra $100 a month, maybe $50 to $100 a month. Oh, just let me cross the street here by Little Italy Pizza. Let me see if I can make the brightness a little bit here. Yeah, James Tiger says $2.99 a month. I would sleep there. You know, not for nothing, I've actually slept there a couple times. If I'm, pulling crazy hours at work or something like that. I will admit I have slept in the WeWork office fair share of times. All right, team, East 13th Street headed downtown. A lot of traffic tonight. Look at all the traffic piled up here. Lizzie says $2.99 a month for a full office setup is surprisingly fair. It's very, very fair, but I will say this. Lizzie, if you pay the $2.99, you're not allowed to leave your stuff there overnight. So it's essentially you walk into an open office space and you can work wherever you want. So it's just sort of like you find a spot. If you want a dedicated office space, that's going to be a little bit more money, just for disclosure there. Sean Connolly says, so it is 24/7 access, I take it? Yes and no. And the reason why I say that is because some locations have 24/7 access, some don't. I'd say about 30% of the WeWork locations on the island of Manhattan are 24/7. The rest close, it depends. They usually close around 7 p.m. So the WeWork, to give you an example, right at Bryant Park, I work out of there sometimes, but I usually do the live stream after work, so the reason why I don't work out of that WeWork location anymore is because it closes at 7 p.m. and your key card deactivates at like 7:15. So it really doesn't make sense, at least for me. All right, everybody, this is East 12th Street. This is actually a pretty good taco place and pretty affordable prices too. Brian is here, says, good evening, Tom and everybody, have a good weekend. Pot of Gold says, however, Ray Dalio's graph shows the Chinese yen is the next reserve currency, or the yuan. Yeah, so Dalio, and look, I have a lot of respect for Ray Dalio, and oftentimes I actually suggest his books, right? One of which being Principles by Ray Dalio. We talk about it all the time. And Ray Dalio, for those of you who don't know, is arguably one of the most successful hedge fund managers of all time. He is the founder of Bridgewater Associates in Connecticut, and he is actually very, very bullish on China. He thinks that China is going to overtake the United States. It's a beautiful dog to your right. He thinks that China is going to overtake the United States and become the next world reserve currency. And the reason why he thinks that is because if you look back throughout history, there's usually a life cycle of a superpower, and they tend to all end the same exact way. Now, I think the best way I could sum it up, and let me know if you guys agree or disagree with this statement, this is the way I would sum it up, is that, have you ever heard of the statement that, what's it called? Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men, and weak men create bad times. And the cycle just starts over and over and over again, right? So the theory there is that the United States is in this period of, Goldilocks and euphoria. And when you get involved in other countries' proxy wars and different conflicts and printing a bunch of money and funneling your currency all over the world, it deteriorates the quality of life in your own country, and it makes you vulnerable for, oppressors or other opposing countries to sort of take your lunch, if you will. I don't really know if I buy that story for the United States, and here's the reason why I really don't buy it. The reason I believe why America will always stay the world's main superpower is because not only do people in the United States want to be here, right? I'll give you guys some homework here on the Friday night. I want you guys to Google how many American citizens last year renounced their citizenship. That's some homework for you guys. And then compare that to everywhere else in the world. So as long as the United States can remain the staple for free markets, free market capitalism, equal opportunity, not equal results, but equal opportunity, people from all over the world are going to want to come here to start businesses, to get educated, right? Sometimes people from all over the world just come to the United States because we have the best educational institutions in the entire world. You think about the Ivy League. We're about to come up on one of the greatest colleges in the United States right now, NYU. So I think as long as that stays intact, which I think it will, it's deteriorated a little bit, but as long as we could send that message to the world that if you come to the United States and work hard, you have the equal opportunity to make something for yourself. Start a family, have kids, buy a house, American dream. And I don't think you can't really say the same for anywhere else in the world. You just don't have that freedom anywhere else. I don't know, what do you guys think? Agree, disagree? Hey, Kathy R is here, says absolutely 100%. Good to see you, Kathy. Thank you so much for being here. Dr. Longiz, good to see you. Antonio, good to see you. Barbara says, hey Tom from Tucson, Arizona. Crazy week this week for sports. You were correct. The Super Bowl is this Sunday. How could I forget? Super Bowl Sunday. Ali Star says American dream is compromised now, says Ali Star. I respectfully disagree. I think the American dream is alive and well. And I honestly think with the amount of information that's available to everybody for free, I think it's very, very attainable. Check out the facade on all of these buildings down here at NYU. It's a pretty cool contrast with the white buildings and the brown and black outlines of the windows. Looks really nice. We are going to continue to push on to the village. Maybe we'll make a right here. Very seldom do we ever turn down some of the side streets here. Hey, Eyeglass Lady, what's up? Good to see you, Eyeglass Lady. Bree says you can't forget, if you are in Phoenix, party safe this weekend, everybody. Amen, I second that. Please be safe, everybody. Hey, DM is here, my good friend, my good moderator, says I agree. Welcome. Somebody says I have to disagree with Australia is another where anything is possible. Yeah, Australia is great. Australia is great. Now, I want to give you guys, because I want to actually make another point about this. I'll tell you guys a quick story. So on my lunch break today, I went to the New York Public Library, adjacent to the main Fifth Avenue New York Public Library, right? And oftentimes I talk about that library because On the 5th floor is the International Business Center, right? And on the International Business Center, you have free access to Bloomberg terminals, you have free access to a bunch of unbelievable information. And this is sort of what I'm saying about, the access to information has never been more accessible to the average guy and girl. So I'm on the 5th floor on the International Business Center. I'm doing some quick research on the Bloomberg terminals, and you know what I see? I start walking around and I see a section. This is, so really quick, just so you guys know where we are. This is East 8th Street. We're looking uptown. You can see the Empire State Building, but if I turn this way, this is Washington Square Park. And that little piece of, I guess the little spire sticking up is the spire for the One World Trade Center. But anyway, so I'm walking around the aisles in the International Business Center, and I see a rack, and the rack has brand new copies of the Wall Street Journal every single day of the week. They have every single archived physical copy of Investors Business Daily and Barron's and the Financial Times. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, I must pay like $500 a month more, right? Because I pay for, investment software and things like that. And I said, if anybody wanted to get started, in the investment business or just anything, learning about the economy, learning about economics, you have literally the top tier pristine information available to you right here in Midtown Manhattan for $0. You could sit there all day. You don't even have to buy a subscription to Investors Business Daily. Just go to the library. They have the papers there. You could read it. You don't have to buy a Bloomberg terminal for $2,500 a month. You can go there. Nobody uses them. It's free. And it just made me realize that the difference between now and back in the day is that now anything is possible. The only factor is you. Like, is it a priority for you to sit there and study it? It's free. Take advantage of it. You can't say the same in other countries. And that's another reason why I think the United States is just going to continue to prosper. Yeah, photos from around New York. So photos, says Tom, the library is always pretty quiet. It's never too crowded. That's exactly my point. I mean, think about that resource, guys. You have Bloomberg terminals, right? You have free copies of Investors Business Daily, Barron's, Wall Street Journal for free. You don't have to pay for anything. You just go there, you sit in the chair, and that's it. It's awesome. It is awesome. Yo, Tucson, what's up? Good to see you. Vivian is here. Always a pleasure to have you here, Vivian. Happy Friday to you on this very volatile day in the market. Ibrahim is on, says, I want to learn about economics. Love that. So Ali Star says, I'm not on because I'm negative about the United States, though. Interesting. Meld says, the only thing standing between you and your goal is the BS story you keep telling yourself why you can't achieve it. I agree with that. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think just living in the United States and in New York City is a blessing, that I don't take for granted. Just the opportunity here in big cities, right? And New York City has its downfalls, and we have our complaints about New York. Look at all these beautiful outdoor dining setups here. These are actually really nice. But at the end of the day, what other city, you can do it in Miami too, but what other city can you have all of this access to information for free, right? The only thing you need to do is just put in your time. Pick up the Investors Business Daily, pick up the Wall Street Journal, read a couple articles, right? Go get a cup of coffee. It's awesome. I'm really, really blessed to live here, for sure. Chan is here, welcome. Oh, this is a pretty good coffee shop I think I told you guys about before. This is Stumptown Coffee Roasters, and I think in the building right behind it is their training facility. So that's actually where they train the baristas. I know Smarty Pants says, Tom, you may have messed it up for yourself now. Now the Bloomberg terminal is going to have a huge line outside. Look, I mean, at the end of the day, I actually hope so, right? I really, really do hope so. I hope, you know, some of the things that I say, I try to give you guys as much free information as possible, right? I mean, I don't charge for anything. I give it to you. And I'm saying, guys, go out and get it. Take it. It's out there. If you pick it up, great. If you don't, you know, I really don't have any sympathy. It's all out there for free, and it's a blessing. Oh, here it is. I walked right past it. So this is the Stumptown Coffee Roasters training lab. How cool is that? I always told you guys, you know, maybe as like a hobby or something like that, I always wanted to be like a barista or a bartender. I think it'd be really cool to try to, you know, make all types of different drinks. But I'd assume once you get hired here, this is the training lab. Kind of cool. Wow, look at this place. You can almost see directly into the building. This building looks really, really old, but check out the contrast between the building and the clouds in the back. Really looks like Gotham City. Looks awesome. Hey, EJ's is here. So really appreciate the info. Good to see you. My good friend Muhammad is here as well, and Mustafa. Welcome, Mustafa. It has been a while, long time no see. Custom built American fire trucks. Says Tom, what are your thoughts on the $1 trillion student debt relief program? Well, I actually have questions for you guys. Whatever happened about that? Are they walking that back? Now, they were supposed to forgive, I don't remember what the exact amount was, but they were supposed to forgive a lot of student loans. And there was a big outcry, there was a big outcry about it. I think you guys already know what my opinion is. But is it actually going to happen, or did the Biden administration just taunt people with this and it's actually not going to materialize? Now, I'll give you guys my position on it again, because I know we have a lot of new people, but here is my position on the absolute disaster that is student loans and college education in the United States. Now, I follow the belief that going to college is still a good deal. That is my belief. So I just want to sort of set the precipice first and say that. But the reason why college is so egregiously expensive in the United States is because of the government. Yes, that is right. It is because of the government. Because the government subsidizes all of these student loans, so you remove all price discovery and free and fair markets out of the college education system. And here's what I mean by that. If I walk into a Bentley dealership, a Lamborghini dealership, and I say, hey pal, you know, I want to buy a $250,000 car. How much they cost, I don't know. I'm not a car guy. They're going to say, sure, give me your tax returns. Let me see what your income is. Let me see your bank account. Let me run your credit score, and on and on and on, right? Okay. If I want to get a student loan, I walk into the loan office and say, hey, I want to go to college. I don't even know what I want to study. I don't really know what, you know, how much I'm going to be making. I don't have any money in my bank account right now, but I want to take out $250,000 to go to college. Sure, here you go. Here's your $250,000. And what that does, it actually provides incentive to these universities not to reduce prices, but to increase prices, okay? If everybody who walks in that wants to get a loan to go to college, oh my God, look at this view here, guys. Hold on 1 minute. That's a gorgeous view of the World Trade Center. But if every single person that walks into a loan office is approved for a loan in any amount that is subsidized by the US government, you automatically remove all price discovery. So here is my position on canceling student loans. And you'd be surprised, I think many of you would be surprised with what I'm going to say. I am actually in support of canceling student loans for everybody if and only if we totally disband the United States government from subsidizing not one more student loan. Because if you just cancel everybody's loans and we still have government subsidized student loan programs, it's not going to solve the problem. It's just going to continue in perpetuity. But if you want to fix the problem, you got to get the government out of the student loan business and let price discovery come back into the market. Because what this has allowed colleges to do, it's allowed colleges to spend billions and billions of dollars on, 3 swimming pools and, athletic facilities, cafeterias, dormitories, and it's almost like an adult playground college in many cases, right? And that's exactly what you're paying for. The administration at a lot of these colleges have ballooned. You have administrators making 6 figures and they're doing nothing, right? So that's my position on it. That's never going to happen. The government is never going to get out of the student loan business, but that is my opinion on it. Okay, team, check out these houses here. These are absolutely gorgeous. Now, these are extremely, extremely expensive, not only apartments, but actual homes. These go for many millions of dollars. Hey, Dr. Longas, what's up? Thank you so much. This is a very interesting take. Michael Joseph is here. What's up, Michael? Welcome. So it's going to be a big ruling in the Supreme Court. We'll see what happens. Yeah, we'll see. I just think, in my view, if you're not going to have a solution to the problem, you shouldn't do anything. I think we shouldn't act unless we have a concrete solution to the problem, in my view. Who knows? Wendy England is here. Good to see you, Wendy. Thanks for joining us. Arsenal fan. Says some colleges are better known for their athletics than their academics. Yeah, that's true. And it's not to sort of, down college athletics. I think college athletics are very, very important. But college is for education, right? College is for getting an education, getting a degree in something that you can then use to make money later. And I think college prices in America are just ridiculous. I think we could all agree with that. I don't think there's not one Republican and not one Democrat that doesn't agree that the education system in the United States is broken. Keith says, hey Tom, as a former university administrator, your views are largely correct but incomplete. Fair. Vincent is here. It's a small rat. Yeah, I saw it scurry across. All right, guys, regroup. Where are we now? We are at West 4th Street. We are now headed into the Village. You have the Washington Square restaurant, coffee shop here. It's like a little diner right across the street, which is really nice. But we are going to continue to cross the street here. Very, very windy night in Manhattan. You have the Papaya Dog across the street. It's not as busy as I would have expected a Friday night to be in the city, though, guys, to be honest. Sandra is here. Says hello from New York. Good to see you, Sandra. Dusty Cole says, Keith, interesting, but what is your take on it? Yeah, I would love to know what you guys think, too. Mr. Felder says, hey, Tom, a rat just ran in front of you. Yeah, here in New York, we have rats the size of dogs here. Two-Wheel Freedom. Good to see you. Thanks for joining. Now, we have the new microphone, guys, so you probably can't tell the wind noise. But take a look at the stoplight here, or the street light. The wind is blowing so crazy tonight that it's actually swinging the lamppost. It's probably 15 to 20 mile an hour gusts here, to be honest. Matthew M., what's up? Good to see you. Hope you're well. Annabelle. Yeah, photos from around New York says those things are heavy. It's got to be really windy. It's crazy windy tonight, man. I got to actually stop and put my phone down and zip up my jacket so I don't get sick. Take a look at this shot, everybody. Tell me that's not an awesome shot of the Empire State Building. Right here you have the spire of the beautiful One Vanderbilt building. But here's what really makes this shot amazing. You have an awesome view of the clouds in the background, which really makes the city look like Gotham City, to be honest. Mel says, Tom, I was reading the reviews for the hotel I'm staying at in New York City in May, and someone seemed surprised that there was a rat outside. Jeez. Yeah, it's just par for the course in New York, man. You're really not going to stop it. Look at the stop sign here. That's how windy it is, man. Let's try to duck down here. I'm gonna put you guys down on the floor, so be careful of any rats. Oh my God. That's the one thing I hate about New York City in the winter, man, is the wind. I'd rather have it 20 degrees and no wind than like 40 degrees and windy, to be honest. Hey, Fun Feeds is here, welcome. All right, let's continue on the stream, team. We've been streaming for an hour. If you guys have been enjoying the live stream so far, feel free to leave a like on the video. Hit the subscribe button if you're new. We do these live streams about 5 days per week between New York City and Miami, and we discuss the financial markets. So hopefully you guys will join us there. SoCal Lawrence is here. Says, hey Tom, do you like the Lower East Side? Kind of has an LA vibe to it. I do like the Lower East Side. I don't think I would ever live on the Lower East Side though, to be honest. I think it's a little bit too crazy. I sort of was explaining this one time, SoCal Lawrence, that the Lower East Side kind of reminds me of living in South Beach. And South Beach is a really, really wild and crazy and fun place in Miami. And the Lower East Side kind of has that same feel. Everybody going out to the bars, everybody hanging out, having a good time. I just don't know if it's a good neighborhood to live in. But, I mean, if you like that stuff, then if you want to be close to nightlife, then I would say absolutely do it. But just really not for me. But good to see you, SoCal Lawrence. Hey, Peace Frogs is SQQQ. Yeah, Peace Frog. Today was a very volatile day on Wall Street. We had the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones Industrial Average finish in the green today, but it was pretty much like finishing flat. Now, the only major equity index that actually finished in the red was the NASDAQ Composite. And the reason for that, obviously, is we had a pretty big spike in yields. Now, we've discussed this before, but I think it's important to review it again. If you think about a lot of these high beta, high growth tech companies, when interest rates are low, the present value of a company's future earnings are worth more today. Does that make sense? However, when you have interest rates going up, the present value of a company's future earnings and future cash flows start to erode. And the problem is, we're coming off about 14 years of quantitative easing and easy money policies. So a lot of these companies' growth plans were all about growing top line revenue at the expense of profitability. Now, that's all well and good when money is cheap and money is easy, but when you start fiscal and quantitative tightening on the monetary policy side, that is a problem. And valuations are going to compress, and valuations have compressed quite materially here. So the SQQQ, I believe, is an inverse ETF for the NASDAQ 100. This place is always packed, guys. Hold on, let's try to walk down a little bit more. I'll show you guys. Every night this place is always packed. And there's always a line too that stretches around the block. Now the night is still young, so probably the line is going to even get longer and increase, but check it out. There's always a line wrapping around the entire thing. Hey, Line Sync is here. Good to see you. I see Gary Carpenter. Zach Drew says, Tom, I think it's going to be choppy till the CPI. I think so too, Zach. I'm not sure if you're just joining, but I got a quick question for you. We were talking about how crude oil was really catching a bid today. A lot of the energy stocks were catching a bid too, a lot of oil and gas companies. So here's my major concern about that is if we start to have another big bid in crude oil, I think we're trading right around 79, pretty much just call it $80. If crude goes back to 90, that's really bad for CPI. And the Federal Reserve is going to be watching that. And we've started to sort of walk back the size of our rate hikes, right? We went from 75 basis point rate hikes all the way now down to 25 basis points. But if we start to have crude oil and energy prices skyrocket again, Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, and all of the other Fed presidents are probably going to conclude that we need to get a little bit more aggressive with raising rates. And who knows? Maybe the markets are trying to price. Oh my God. Yeah. That's another thing about the village. A lot of some homeless, not a lot of homeless, but some homeless. Hey, Joan K, what's up? It's just Cameron says, please tell me that $52 wasn't the parking fee. Which $52? Oh, on the what's it called? The parking garage? Yeah, it probably was. It was probably a day pass. Yo, Mike C, what's up? Michael Josephs is somebody freaking out. We have the classic random shrieking that you get sometimes here in New York. It's a Friday night. It's par for the course, right? You got a car in the bike lane. I think that may be an undercover cop too that's blocking the bike lane. LL is here. What's up? Oh, you know what? I wanted to give you guys an update on the state of the New York City real estate market. So I got an advertisement to my email yesterday, and I forgot to talk about it on last night's live stream, but I'll tell you guys now that we are outside of John's Bleecker, which is a fantastic pizza shop here in New York City, but you got to come with a lot of friends, because if you don't, you're going to have to order an entire pie and eat it all by yourself, which is very difficult. Let's just say that. But here's what I was going to say. So there's a lot of new developments in New York City that are offering incentives. So I'll sort of paraphrase the email that I got. It was a building where the studios were running anywhere from $610,000. One bedrooms were going for about $1.5 million. And one of the incentives that they were offering to try to drive sales in the building is that they were going to pay the common charges for an entire year. So the common charges, I think, were $1,200 a month. I think it may have been a little bit less. I'll have to go back and check the email. I'll probably post it in the Discord. But, you know, this is just another sign that the real estate market is tightening, right? We've had a 100% move in interest rates. That 30-year fixed rate mortgage right now is well above 6.5%. Next week is probably going to go higher. So in your guys' community, wherever you live, are you sort of seeing the same thing? A lot of incentives being offered? Because some developers in some new buildings are offering about 12 months free of common charges or your HOA fees. That's pretty significant. Are you guys hearing anything similar in your markets? Just curious. Keith's is undercover cop driving a Honda. Keith, you know, so if you come to New York, maybe you do live here, I don't know, but sometimes you'll see yellow taxi cabs that will be undercover NYPD officers. Has anybody seen that? That's the most hilarious thing ever, when you see a yellow cab, but it's actually an undercover NYPD. I've seen a ton of those lately, especially on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. RP says, what is the place with the long line? I'm not sure. I don't know. I think it's some type of club or something like that. I've never been there, but John's Bleecker always has a pretty big line too. Two Wheel Freedom says, what is the red box on the pole? I think that is I think they're out of commission now. They used to be able to press a button where you could call the FDNY or the NYPD, but I don't think any of those work anymore in the city, to be honest. Chinooks' house prices are down 200,000 CAD over the year here in Vancouver, minus 20%. Yeah, I mean, dude. So I'm pretty active on Twitter. If you guys want to follow me there, at Walks Wall Street. I have a lot of Canadian friends on Twitter, and they always post about the Canadian real estate market and places like Toronto, Vancouver. Just, if you think the prices are insane here in the United States, Canada has us beat. I could tell you that. You know, in some instances, you could have a single family home, 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom home for like $650,000, $750,000. Really, really bizarre and crazy. And the problem in the Canadian market is it's very, very leveraged. So here in the United States, especially now since the 2008 financial crisis, people have actually been putting down heftier down payments on their homes. So I would say about 20% or more. In Canada, the percentage of people putting down at least 20% is significantly lower than that in the United States. The LT Prods is Toronto real estate prices are crazy. They're wild. And it stinks because Toronto's a great city. And I don't know how people can afford to pay those prices. I think somebody was just joking in the chat that we're probably going to see pretty soon 80-year mortgages. CM says, yes, I tried to crack a joke once knowing they were undercover cops and regretted it then. Hilarious. LL says, LOL, Tom, for me to buy a house in Vancouver, it's $1 million plus. So what would $1 million plus get you in Vancouver? How many bedrooms are we talking there? Hawaii says Toronto is lovely. It is. Dusty Cole says, okay. Interesting. Vincent's old school emergency call box. Yeah, I don't know if they work anymore, right? All right, let's push on down here. I'm kind of surprised about how quiet the village is tonight. But then again, maybe everybody's preparing for Super Bowl Sunday. We will be traveling on Super Bowl Sunday, just to let you guys know, so we probably will not be live. But then again, I think everybody probably wants to watch the game or go to parties and things like that too. Anybody having any interesting Super Bowl Sunday events coming up? Hey, Teresa Diaz is here. Good to see you, Teresa. Welcome. Coming up on Bedford Street. We'll cross here. Actually, we'll keep going to the Shake Shack because you guys are going to have a really nice view of One World Trade Center. Photos from around New York as we headed to Soho tonight. Maybe we'll walk back up that way. I got to walk through. Actually, I don't know. We might as well do the loop. I got to go back to 32nd Street anyway. We'll see. Austin City Limits is where are we going to stream Sunday night? We are not. I got to do a lot of traveling. So I'm going to be traveling Sunday night. I got to get back I got to do a lot of stuff next week. It's going to be a very busy week for me next week. But then I should be back in New York in March. We'll cross this way since we got the light. Hey, Elias is here. What's up? Good to see you. Randy D. This is Tom. When are you headed back to Miami? Well, I got to go back Sunday. Now, the driveway is good. The driveway is all set. But I got to clean up. I got to clean up a lot of stuff around the front of the backyard, get ready for the tenants to come. And then I should be back in New York City. I also have to go to the town hall. That should be fun. We'll see. No, Julia M will still do streams, but just not on Sunday. Sunday is Super Bowl Sunday anyway, so it's going to be, I think the Super Bowl, the kickoff is 6:30 p.m. And I can't stream anyway. My flight is in the middle of the day. Oh, that's another thing I wanted to talk about. So Delta Airlines now made a partnership with T-Mobile, and T-Mobile has actually had pretty significant outperformance over the other two carriers, I should say over the other two major carriers, Verizon and AT&T. The market really evaluates T-Mobile more of a growth stock than a mature company, which I think is appropriate. Now here's where I think T-Mobile could improve upon. And I have some experience working with T-Mobile, working with many of the big telecom companies, the TEMs. T-Mobile has really, really good market share in the retail business. Very, very good market share in the retail business. But when it comes to enterprise, and when I mean enterprise, I'm talking about big Fortune 500 and Fortune 50 companies, it's very, very lackluster. And the reason for that is because of the portals and the API integration into other major enterprise software platforms just really doesn't work, right? So if you're a big company, a big organization, and you have, an HR software like Workday, ticker symbol WDAY, or you have like another platform for your software engineers to collaborate, like a Jira or a Confluence, an Atlassian product. If you have Verizon for your telecom, the portal is so easy where you can just go on, order devices, and you can hook into the APIs of Workday, and you can know which employee has which device or which employee has which hotspot. You guys get the picture. T-Mobile's portal is extremely lackluster. So what they're actually trying to do now is outsource different TEMs that could build these different portals. Now, I think one of the companies T-Mobile is using is a company called Saycon. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that. Maybe somebody who has experience in network engineering. But the point, anyway, that's all for naught. But T-Mobile has a partnership now with Delta Airlines, where you get free Wi-Fi on every single flight. So I used to fly American Airlines every time. I think I'm gonna 100% convert to flying Delta because you get free Wi-Fi and you don't even have to be a T-Mobile customer. Monica B, does that include Metro PCS? I don't think you even have to be a T-Mobile customer to get the free Wi-Fi. Vincent is Tom. T-Mobile, they give free Wi-Fi on Delta flights. They are extending the service to non-T-Mobile Sky members now. Dude, I know, I just tried it out. So I don't think I'm ever going to fly American Airlines again, guys. I think I'm only going to be exclusive to Delta. Now, here's the thing. When I fly Delta, I got to fly out of Fort Lauderdale because it's a big conundrum. And for whatever reason, it's more expensive to fly out of Miami International Airport than it is to fly out of Fort Lauderdale for whatever reason. But I'll make that a combination. I'll fly out of Fort Lauderdale and then I'll fly to LaGuardia instead of JFK. I don't know, what do you guys use in the chat? Do you guys use Delta, American? What is your main airline? Hawaii says, don't forget to sign up for the Delta Miles to get their app. Vivian Francesca says, I love Delta. Yeah, I think I'm going to make the switch permanently. 3T3 already flies Delta. Very nice. Look at this brand new shiny taxi cab here. RP says Delta, Sweet Dream 777. Says you already fly Delta. Wow, I guess I was the only one left out. Every single person here. Keith says I fly Delta when possible. Brad's Brain says Southwest whenever possible. Monica B says Delta and American Airlines. Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, I think I'm sold on Delta now. Guys, this is the Dominic. This is a really, really nice building. You can only imagine the views that you have of One World Trade Center from right here. Really, really nice. This is Spring Street. I think we're actually gonna make a left. We'll make a left right on Spring Street because it's gonna be way too windy down there. Sabrina Ferris says Delta Domestic doesn't have any legroom. I found it the same with American, and I always fly just regular. Now, the thing about flying American Airlines is it's just like very basic. There's no TV screens. Anybody notice that? So with American Airlines, you have no Wi-Fi. You have no TV or in-flight entertainment. And the prices are pretty comparable with that of Delta, at least for the, I'd say at least for the Fort Lauderdale flights and the Miami flights to JFK. This is 6th Avenue and Spring Street. On the corner here, you guys are gonna see an amazing view of One World Trade. It looks like the Empire State Building now is lit up in blue. Look at that. No, it's like blue and red and green now. You can see it right under the Spring Street sign. It's like a red, a blue, a green. It looks really nice. I wonder why. Randy D says, Tom ever flies Spirit Airlines? So Randy, I'm not really picky. I'm not a materialistic guy at all. But I have two rules, and I told myself this. I have two rules, and that's it. I'll never, ever again travel on the Megabus or the Greyhound bus, and I'll never fly Spirit Airlines. Those are my only two rules. Anything else for me is fair game, but I don't think I could suffer through the Megabus, the Greyhound bus ever again. Or Spirit Airlines. I just can't do it. And the prices aren't that much different from Spirit Airlines to American or Delta anyway. But those are my only two rules. It's just I just can't do it. I don't think I could suffer through that. Every single time you turn on the news or look at Twitter or something like that, every time when there's like a big chaotic brawl at the airport, here's an awesome view of One World Trade Center. But anytime there's a crazy brawl at the airport, anything like that, it's always Spirit Airlines. I don't know why, and that's just something I definitely want to avoid. B. Smith just took the Megabus from New York City to Philly. It was okay. I had a really bad experience. Broke down. And a massive brawl broke out on the Megabus, and the bus was broken down on the side of the road. And that new bus proceeded to break down 20 minutes later. So I'm like, you know what? I could spend the $112 to take the Amtrak to wherever I'm going. I don't know. And again, that's a very anecdotal experience, but for me, not a big fan of the Megabus or the Greyhound bus. Here's another great view of the One World Trade Center. Hey, Hermes Addict, what's up? This is Tom. 2 rules to live by if you take one of those buses for more than a 1-hour trip. You're living the wrong life. I know, same with Spirit Airlines. It's horrible. It's really, really bad. Zach Drews, the carry-on bag fee gets me with Spirit Airlines. Well, I always try to travel light. I always try to travel as light as possible. Very, very seldom do I check a bag. I actually don't think I've ever checked a bag ever. I don't know, what about you guys? I think you're asking for trouble, man, if you check a bag. But here's the thing, I get it. Some people you have to, for obvious reasons. You're bringing a lot of clothes, you're bringing a lot of valuables. But for me, I think if you could travel light, and then again, you know, all of my clothes are either in Miami or New York, so it's not like I have to bring a lot of stuff. So the lighter you could travel, I think the better, in my opinion. Hey, BMST Groups, is the movie Margin Calls on Netflix? Is that what you do? What do you mean? I very seldom watch Netflix. Michael Joseph says, Tom, you ever fly out of Islip Airport? I have not, but a lot of people, and many people in the chat have been suggesting that flying out of Islip.
Time of the sheriff is 30 minutes.
Peeman says the World Trade Center looks great. Pressure Drop, what's up? Says try EasyJet. It's like being stuck in a room with people trying to sell you tickets to things you might need when you want to land. Interesting. EasyJet, I'll have to check it out. Monica EB, or Monica B, says every year I take Amtrak Southwest. Okay, from California, interesting. Gennaro J says I had a bad experience on the Greyhound. Dude, yeah, nothing good happens on the Megabus. Nothing good happens on the Greyhound bus, ever. Now, here's Prince Street. In my opinion, one of the best pizza places in the city is right here on this block called Prince Street Pizza. Check out this archaic ATM. Now, you couldn't pay me to use this ATM. It's out of service anyway, but usually if you see an ATM outside in New York City, 90% chance it has one of those credit card schemers on it. So definitely do not use that. All right, this is West Broadway. Wow, look at that view of the One World Trade Center now, too. Hey, Joan K is here. What's up, Joan? Good to see you. Thank you for joining us. Pressure drops as I stopped flying a few years back. Yeah, the TSA is not good. It's just camera. This has been very impartial to the downtown Seattle vibe, but I think New York City outvibes Seattle. I've never been to Seattle, but I would like to go. I think New York City is the greatest city in the world. But then again, I am definitely biased. This is Wooster Street. Love all the fire escapes on these buildings. Daryl says, any cheap apartments in the Soho area? Not really. I mean, the only thing that I was seeing, and I was sort of explaining this to you guys earlier in the live stream, is that some of the new developments in the city are actually offering some incentives for people to close. And one of those incentives being they'll actually pay the common charges for about a year, which is pretty significant. I mean, these common charges could be upwards of $1,000 a year, depending on the size of the apartment, depending on the square footage, depending on how new the building is. So I got an email, I think it was yesterday or the day before, of a new development, as an incentive to buy one of the units, probably because interest rates have gone up so much that they'll actually pay the common charges for you for the first year. But that's really the only incentive that I've seen so far. This guy has a leaf blower. We'll make a left here and we'll head back uptown. This cafe always looks really nice here. That's like a really, really classic shot in New York. Hey, Tariq Khan is here. What's up, Tariq? Thank you for joining us. Hopefully you're well. Happy Friday to you. Randy D says, Tom, are you expecting another interest rate hike soon? I am. I think that the Federal Reserve is going to be forced to raise rates again. Especially, I think here's the biggest, I should say, tail risk to rates, is that it seems as if we have a pretty big bid now in the price of crude oil. There was some news breaking from CNN Business Today that Russia is going to cut about 5% of oil output due to retaliating against, the West providing support to Ukraine. So obviously basic supply and demand. You now have, on one hand, China is finally reopening. We finally have all of this craziness with the zero big C-19 policy coming to an end in China. That means a lot more demand for oil is going to be going up. But then at the same time, we have Vladimir Putin announcing that Russia is actually going to be cutting back about 5% of oil output, which is going to be a big problem. And I think that was probably one of the main reasons why crude oil had such a big rally today. ExxonMobil hit a new all-time record high. So if we think about the CPI report that's going to be coming out, if we have sustained upward price pressure on crude, that's going to have the CPI going the opposite way that we want. CPI is going to be going up potentially. We'll see. Michael Joseph says 2 more rate hikes, any more than 2 this year, the market will freak out. Well, the futures market is signaling that the Federal Reserve is going to stop and that inflation is going to be no big deal. And I sort of have an interesting take on it. I think that inflation is coming down. That is true. But as we've been talking about, as we've been analyzing these CPI reports, some of the most important, I would say, categories of the CPI is unfortunately not improving. One of which being shelter costs, right? Shelter costs have actually been going up. However, I think now that we're starting to tighten the screws on these rate hikes, maybe we'll have some cooling in the housing markets, rents will drop, and that'll put some pressure on the shelter category of the CPI, hopefully. You know, all the leading economic indicators signal exactly that. Well, look, we heard from Fed Chair Jerome Powell this week, and one of the major things that he said is, look, we will get back to 2%. We will get back to 2%, not 2.5%, not 3%, not 3.25%. We will get inflation back to 2%, but it may require additional interest rate hikes. And, you know, I think the market is going to react negatively to that. Keith says cutting oil production won't help Russian economy, which is already struggling. Yeah, Keith, I agree with you, but here's the thing. I don't think Vladimir Putin cares, right? I really don't. I think at this point, he's being very vindictive. I think it's just all about victory at all costs, and anything he can do to retaliate against the West, I think he's going to do it. But I agree with you. I agree with you.
Yeah, Aaron is like only reports the games.
This is one of my favorite buildings here on East Houston Street. Dr. Longa says, I'm not buying what Jerome Powell is selling. We'll take a look at tips. Hollywood Bob. Hey, what's up, Hollywood Bob? Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. I'm trying to get used to the old chat here, guys, so I apologize. We're now back on Prism Live, so I just got accustomed to the other chat, but Hollywood Bob says the work inflation just means our dollars aren't worth as much as before, what they are worth now. Yeah. Well, that's the interesting thing, right? And you would think over the past year, right, with inflation ripping, you would think the dollar would be doing poorly, but quite the opposite happened. The dollar actually had decade high strength last year. The dollar, the Dixie, is finally coming down, but over this past week, the Dixie has actually rallied. I think the Dixie right now is trading at 103. All right, team, we're actually going to head uptown now. This is my favorite coffee shop in the entire city. This is Gasoline Alley Coffee. W says Katz's Deli. Yeah, Katz's Deli. If we continue to walk straight down there, we would hit into it. Now, you know what I'm really depressed about? I'm not going to lie. I'm sure all the New Yorkers here. I'll give you guys a view inside of Gasoline Alley Coffee. This is a great place in New York City. Love it here. Very quaint shop. But anybody familiar with the Carnegie Deli? I know probably a stupid question for all the New Yorkers watching, but Carnegie Deli, when I was a kid and I used to come into the city with my grandmother, we always used to go there. We went there a couple times, and it kind of sucks that, a lot of these delis, these Jewish delicatessens, are closing down. I mean, the rents have gotten so high. I think it's going to be an absolute catastrophe if, please God, knock on wood, Katz's never closes. Hope to God they don't. But, I think that's a travesty to the city that we even allowed that to happen. Just think about that. An iconic deli like Carnegie Deli, we allowed that to close. That is just a shame. That's shameful right there. And here's the crazy thing. If you look at the old spot where Carnegie Deli used to be, guys, there's nothing there. It's just abandoned. Like that entire block there, if you continue to walk straight down from, I'm blanking on the name, from Carnegie Hall, it's completely empty. So it's like, it sucks, man. I know John's, is Carnegie and Stage Door delis were great. Carnegie Deli was a great time. Awesome time. Ali Star says, yes, Tom used to go to Barney Greengrass. Keith says, Tom, where is famous Katz's Deli located? If we continue to walk down Houston Street, we would hit into it. You have to walk further over towards Delancey to hit into it. But that place is really good. You guys are actually making me want to go get Katz's Deli tonight. I'm going to have to think about that. I actually may do that because I have to go back to Miami on Sunday, so I actually may go to Katz's tonight. You guys are getting me thinking. Hey CM, good to see you. I know, W says $30 sandwich at Katz. It's worth it though. I think it's worth it, man. You could almost have like one half one day and the other half the other day, so it's kind of like two sandwiches in one. I know Western Mass Dave is like, don't think, just go for it. Brad's brain is here. What's up, Brad? Good to see you. Yeah, I mean, so I'm seeing a lot of comments, a lot of good comments. I'm just trying to adapt to the chat. We finally have Prism Live back, thank God. But what do you think the breaking point is? Right? You know, I was watching, I think it was New York One News was doing an interview with some of the local restaurants in Queens. And one of the restaurant owners was like, you know, we can only raise our prices so high, right? Because one of the big problems here in New York, not just in Manhattan, but all across the boroughs of New York City, is the rents are going sky high, right? So the landlords are pushing a lot of these restaurants out. And one of the restaurant owners was like, look, I can only raise my prices so high, right? Before it gets a little bit ridiculous. You know, you could sell a turkey sandwich, you know, for 20 bucks, 25 bucks. It's just going to get ridiculous. Like, people are going to start to say, look, I can't go out to eat if I'm spending $30 for a turkey sandwich. So where do we think that threshold is? Now, the good news, right, not to be doom and gloom, all of the leading economic indicators right now do signal that inflation is coming down. They do. All the leading economic indicators signal that. But for a lot of small businesses here in the city, and not just exclusive to New York, by the way, this is all over the country, they're struggling. Profit margins at a restaurant are razor thin. The restaurant business is not as lucrative as you would think. Razor thin margins in the restaurant business. Check out this outdoor dining setup here. Really nice. Michael Joseph says, Tom, plus the IRS is trying to implement better restaurant tip reporting, which sucks for the employees. Yeah, that does suck. I didn't hear about that. Weird. Y Cruz says, FYI, I don't see my chat on the YouTube app on my TV. Weird. Well, YouTube has been glitching out the last couple days, so has all these big tech companies. CM says 2nd Avenue Deli is good too. That is correct. You are right. Somebody says, are you going to make a broadcast from Miami on Monday? Yes, we will. Deborah says there's a good exhibit on the history of Jewish delis at the New York Historical Society now. I'll check that out. I love going to that stuff. Ron McAllister says, what's good to eat at Katz's Deli? I just always get a Reuben sandwich. Pastrami on rye. Now, the cool thing about Katz's is Whoa, hold on, that was a big claim. We gotta go back. That was a huge claim. Look at that, get a load of this. World's best cup of coffee here. That's a big claim. I'm gonna have to come here tomorrow and see what's up. Anytime you have a sign that says world's best this, best in the city that, it's a big claim. And you gotta back up that claim because Walks on Wall Street's gonna come and check it out. Big claim, I'll check it out tomorrow, I'll report back to the team. All right, on the corner of Bowery and Great Jones Street, I'm gonna come here tomorrow and I'll let you guys know if it's the world's best cup of coffee. Don't let me forget, guys. Please don't let me forget. Spam me in the chat tomorrow, don't let me forget. Hey, little Larry Sellers, what's up, man? Good to see you, happy Friday. Joseph Hardaway. Dusty Cole, I'm glad I could give you a laugh, my friend. All right, we gotta head back uptown. Walking through all this scaffolding here. Wow, pressure drops. Says Tom, I don't drink coffee. I never like the smell or the taste. That's crazy. That's like the complete polar opposite of myself. I think I actually drink too much coffee, to be honest. And I really, really like the smell. But everybody's different. Everybody's different. Vivian Francesca says, awesome, let's do reviews. We'll do it tomorrow. I can promise you guys that 100%. Don't make me forget, I promise. Hey, Mike says, love Katz's Deli. Oh yeah, Mike, you just reminded me of, so here's why I love it. I'll tell you guys. Number one, it's open 24/7. Number two, when you're ordering at the guy, right? You go to the guy, you tell him what you want. He gives you a free sample right when you're ordering. I love that. Love that. Even though it is expensive, they do have pretty big portions, I will say. Wow, John says no coffee either, hot tea is okay. Nina is joining us. Good to see you, Nina. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Now, usually we're coming up on St. Mark's Place near the Village. Usually on Fridays, this place is mobbed with people. I don't know what's going on. You know what I think it is? I think everybody's preparing for Super Bowl Sunday. Maybe. Because usually this part of the city is really, really packed. Terrence, you're right, and they make you with the ticket stub at the exit. You're correct. Michael Joseph says, yeah, the IRS is proposing service industry tip compliance agreement. That's nonsense, man. They shouldn't do that. I mean, now look, so the Biden administration claims that they're advising the IRS not to go after anybody who makes under $400,000, right? Is that true? I don't know. But here's the thing. The average middle class guy and girl in this country is being squeezed like crazy, like they've never been squeezed before. And we were talking about this, I mean, we talk about this almost every night, right? I mean, my theory is that, you know, there's quite literally a creation of a two-tier society in the United States where you have the extreme haves and the extreme have-nots. And I think that's been mainly created due to central banking and the Federal Reserve. Because it forces people, well, not forces, the people who control the majority of the assets in this country, right, who own the majority of real estate, who own the majority of the equities, have most gross exposure to that stuff, benefit the most in times of quantitative easing. So asset prices inflate, and that includes real estate, that includes commodities and stocks. But the wealthy own those particular assets. Now the problem is people in the middle class, it's very difficult for them to acquire those assets, right? So as the cost of everything is inflating, they're spending more of their paycheck on their rent. They're spending more of their paycheck on food. They're spending more of their paycheck on educating their kids out of college. And it's hard for them to acquire the very assets that are being inflated. So it's, I think the IRS should back off. I think the IRS should back off, especially anybody who makes under 500, I would say. All right, here is St. Mark's Place, the very famous St. Mark's Hotel. But if you guys have enjoyed the live stream so far, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. We do these live streams about 5 days a week between New York City and Miami, and we would love to have you guys along for the ride. My phone is about to die, so I think we're going to cut you guys loose a little bit early tonight. I want to wish everybody a very, very happy Friday night. Please be safe this weekend too, everybody. If you're at like a Super Bowl event, Super Bowl party, please be safe, drive safe. There's going to be a lot of crazies on the road, and I want everybody